that? Host controls. What's that mean?
And
Oh, I
we're
can
live.
let everyone share their screen. I wonder if I do that, you could Twitch.
Oh.
Uh,
So the problem I was having is I need to have a second monitor,
I
essentially,
can
to
let you
do
turn
it.
your microphone on too.
Oh, nice.
Right.
And I thought I'd be able to use my TV as a second monitor, but that didn't work.
You
So,
need a second monitor?
well, because for me to capture the whole window,
Uh-huh.
I can't have it minimized, but I like to have it minimized so I can see you or whoever's
Yeah,
guest,
yeah.
and I
So
can
if
see
you
the
had
show
2
sheet.
screens like I do, where it's a laptop and the screen behind it, you could totally do it.
Yes.
Or I could do it,
Right.
but I can't because I'm doing this.
Yeah. So yeah,
There's gotta be solo operations do that though, right?
yeah, there has to be a way. I just
All
couldn't. Yeah, there's got to be a way to do that for sure.
right.
Because you can. Yeah, it's anyways.
No, you're good.
Details are boring.
This is definitely the time to talk about it. This is our pre-show, pre-roll.
The pre-show. Yeah, so I'm still working on it.
Okay. Have you seen an update on the Padres lately?
I have not.
Last I saw, you guys were losing. Dun, 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 dun.
Charge my phone. NHL.
6-4. Still 6-4.
Yeah, it's final. It's over.
Final. All right. Padres got a winning record. Hey, let's go Padres. As long as we can hold on to it. What's going on with that Japanese fella that throws and catches and hits the ball?
Ohtani?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's going to be no repercussions. They're really going to be like, it's okay. He had his
bad translator.
Yeah. Is that really? Is he going to get away with it?
I mean, it seems like that.
Donald Trump of sports betting,
right? What's his name? Pete Rose is like, man, I should have just fired my translator.
He really shouldn't have been a cunt. That was kind of the problem.
That was kind of the problem.
If you look historically, the baseball players that get dragged in the media are the Barry Bondses, the Alex Rodriguezes, the ones that had an adversarial relationship with the media.
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Barry Bonds fan, but yeah, he was a dick in press conferences.
By a lot of accounts, Ty Cobbs wasn't exceptionally racist for his times the way we remember him. There was just a sports writer that was like, had a bone to pick with him.
Really? Interesting.
Did I say Ty Cobb?
You did.
I meant that. I got him confused with Honus Wagner, not that they're the same.
Oh. Yeah. Is Bridal still doing World Series things over there? Or
you know what? I haven't looked in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh. Should ask him.
He's got to be done by now.
I'm afraid he didn't do a show this last week. Did you see that?
I did. I was like refreshing. I was like, what happened to my fucking thing?
And now it's like later in the week, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Did he ever release one?
I don't think so. I refreshed it today.
He had in-laws in town, and he's had he got booked in something, and he's managing the Lyric and Hyperion. I worry that he'll stop doing the podcast. I hope not.
I don't think he will, man. I hope not as well, but
yeah.
Seems like a passion project for him.
Yeah, and I would think that it's good for him with comics, but at some point you're managing a place where comics are in, so that's kind of good enough for you with comics.
Right, fair.
Maybe you wouldn't. Yeah, let's not put that evil out into the world.
Let's not. Actually, I was listening to one of his former guest podcasts this week. What's that called?
Who was the guest? Did you listen to the We Didn't Get a Rose podcast with Mr. No. What song makes me pop my pussy?
I don't understand that phrase.
You don't?
Every time he says it, I'm like, what does that mean?
No, what do you mean? What does it mean? I feel like it's pretty intuitive.
Really? What's it called? It's called the fuck. Where is it? So many podcasts in here. I think it's called Probably Science.
Well,
yeah, Probably Science.
Who's that? Who does that? How many questions? Sorry.
Jesse, Matt, and Andy are on this.
Oh, Matt. Matt, he does the wrestling one, I think.
Bronger? No, not Bronger.
No, Ding Donger with Matt Bronger. No.
Yeah, no. Anyways, the one they had this week was pretty good. Got to a weird tangent about juggling, which was strange. Like, did you know there's like a whole math about juggling? Like, somebody came up with a way to notate juggling. No. So, like, how many balls you have and they came up with this whole math notation to.
Really?
Yeah, for juggling. And then they found out because you can run that shit through like AI now, they found out all these other juggling patterns that you can do that nobody.
Is this like how AI helps find new prime numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or folding proteins or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, oh shit, we could do that with 8 balls. That's fucking crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a weird tangent, but
I have an opening question for you that has to do with balls, but we'll save it. We'll
oh,
save it just
okay.
for a
All right,
little
all right.
bit. We're almost there. We're almost there.
It was a really good episode. I recommend it.
Well, hey, let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we start the show. I got to do this so that I have it in the. I think I saved it. Did I save it? I'll save it here. Oh, well, that's not it. Well, I saved the wrong link. Oh wait, no, that is it. Except it's opening to everything. That's not what I want. Oh, here it is. James got me.
James got you. I can't hear you.
I know. Okay. Thank God it's the pre-show. James got me good. Mexicans are alcoholics. That's out of context. It's not true.
You talked about your tios, your former tios.
Yeah, well, yeah. Was I said earmuffs before I said that? But yes. Oh boy.
That's a good one, James. Nicely done.
Thanks,
Nicely
James. Done. Yeah. I'm going to close that because I don't think I'm going to be presenting anymore. Big announcement.
Oh, do tell.
Well, this will stay in the show. Culture War shirts are available.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And pre-owned butt plugs still not up and running. I'm starting to think that they're dragging their feet on that.
They're like Judge Eileen Cannon over there.
Yeah, I know, right? Don't judge me. Come on, Squarespace. But once we get pre-owned butt plugs up and running, I think we'll do that for all of our merch rather than redirecting it. So like our personal merch. Oh, sorry. So I've got other thoughts, and Greg helped me get here.
Okay.
So you had mentioned last week, if we have our own show, own site, like hypothetically preownedbuttplugs.com.
Right.
You would go there and because nobody drop ships patches. Like listeners have looked into it, multiple people, and they've come back like just
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, shit, we should make that company first of all.
I know, but I don't know how to do that part.
I know.
I agree with you. That was my first thought. It's like, well, if I could do that, then I could make a lot more money.
Right.
But so what we'll do is we'll get pre-owned butt plugs to be our website. We'll have the shop within there for things that don't drop ship.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll buy some bulk of the patches, and then on the shop where they buy the patches, it'll just have a link to where you can go buy your own hat, because chances are listeners already have one of those hats too, right?
So
why would I have to have like an inventory of different colors hats?
You just need the patches.
Yeah, and I don't need to sell you a blank hat. I just want to sell you the patch.
Yeah.
But for now, you can go over to fungiblenuntakens.com. Fungible none takens, all one word. And you could buy Culture Warrior t-shirts. Never has so much been owed to so few for so many. How does the phrase go? I don't know. I put it in our story. Oh, there it is. Never was so much owed to so many by so few.
Yeah, it's Churchill.
No, but it's never has so much. Never was so much.
Never has so much been owned by so many to so few. That was Churchill paying tribute to soldiers, I guess, in World War II.
Say that again. What's the right phrase?
Never was so much. Technically, never was so much been owed by so many to so few. Never was so much been owed by so many to so few.
Yeah, instead of by so many, I put to so many.
Right.
By so few.
Yes.
Owed by so many to so few is the right way.
Yes.
It was really hard for me to figure out how to modify that so that it was appropriate for the pack. I kept trying to change much to little, and I was like, no, that's not right. I don't even know if this is right. It's just, it really flows off the tongue when you remember it. Never was so much owed to so many by so few. Anyways, it's a great logo. The Culture War veteran logo. It
looks like your typical like veteran hat that you see.
It looks, it's the exact pattern of the Vietnam veteran one.
Right.
Just colors changed to be more appropriate for our political spectrum.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm really proud of that. So far, we've got great responses. Really look forward to having the patches. Greg's like, I'm gonna buy 5 of these patches and give them to my army buddies. Like,
Hell yeah.
yeah, I can't wait. So patches will be up soon once we have that. But for now, buy the shirts, support the show.
Yeah, don't forget Alan's edging services over
Alan's
there.
edging. Yeah, me and the boys are edging. Oh, damn it. I don't have the board's not loaded. I got to restart the board before the show. Call Alan.
Okay.
Yep. So you can go and get your edging lifestyle brand t-shirt.
Yep.
And you can get your culture warriors because, you know, we were all enlisted. Nobody asked for this, but we're all in the culture.
Yeah, it was a draft practically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nicotine frees your mind.
Okay, the soundboard's what else do I have here? Natasha corrected me on something. Turns out I was wrong. Aussies can be homophobic. I got you mid-drink. Yeah, it's Jesse's Jesse's. I learned that from a Welshman, not an Aussie. I was on a cruise.
Oh,
drunk. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
And I got my Welsh confused with I made friends with some Aussies on the cruise, true, and I remember them, and then it dawned on me this was.
It got conflated.
Yeah. They both talk funny, but different.
So what's the term? Are we allowed to say the term?
It's
Probably
not. It's not exactly
not as tame as Jesse.
I wouldn't say it's
lighthearted, fancy free,
okay,
but it's silly. You know, it's more along the lines of like you shouldn't say cracker. But
right.
Cracker. I don't know. If I said poofta, would you be offended?
Is that the word?
Yeah. Especially with an Aussie.
I mean, I'm not.
Put that at the start of the show.
That's really wow.
Yeah.
That seems I don't know, a little juvenile actually.
It does. Yeah. Do you have you like to guess etymologies? Do you want to guess how that name came to be? Let's see if it matches to what Natasha's mom taught her.
Okay.
Because you know she was wrong, right?
It just sounds like onomatopoeia to me. Like that's probably like just you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I think enough people know what onomatopoeia means.
Yeah.
And that's along the lines of how it was taught to a very young, soon-to-be wife of mine by her, adult mother who should not be like that. You could just say that's a name people call people. You don't have to get into like what your theory is to it. It's funny you went to the same place she did. You wouldn't have told a 10-year-old that though, right?
No, of course not.
She'd be like, "What's onomatopoeia?" I'm like, that's what happens when you
read comic books. Read comic books, you'll know what it is.
Yes. Bam, pow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as promised, I've got a question. Well, I've got a maybe a did you know? Maybe a did you know? And I'll move this question to the end of the show then.
Ooh, all right.
Or should that start the show? I don't know. We can be silly at the beginning, but then I won't have anything at the end. Let me go here. What's all this?
Do we have a game today?
Yeah, I do have a game for you.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too.
All right.
Okay, so this will be end of show. That's there. Okay. I'll just get my finger ready for the button then.
Yeah.
Go ahead and open this link.
Okay.
The dark
black
one there. Yeah, not the one there. The one above
this
it.
one. Yeah. Okay.
And it's going to take a second to load because it's ESPN.com and they don't realize that websites don't have to have that much fucking data on them anymore.
Oh, this is written by Dave Fleming. I love that dude.
Dave Fleming. Read his full title.
ESPN senior writer.
Senior writer. Go ahead and read the headline.
March Madness brings increase in number of vasectomies.
Senior writer. Senior writer. The senior writer at Sports Illustrated at ESPN.com, the magazine, the website, is doing a deep dive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're gonna have to sit around and ice your nuts, you might as well have some basketball to watch. I mean, it makes.
How did it have to be a whole article? This is one sentence. There is a spike in men going to Las Vegas during March Madness so that they can get a vasectomy and then go hang out in the sports book while they recover.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
You know what? I feel like they're wasting an opportunity though, because one of the things I've been told is you got to like clear the pipes out quite a bit once like you're done with that. And you think you'd want to like not be in public while you do that. Go back to the hotel room. You don't want to waste your time in Vegas.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't take that long to clean the pipes, though.
For you, Alan, I don't know about that. I mean, you must be not being a very good brand ambassador.
You must be doing it wrong,
Alan.
Me and the boys are edging.
Yeah, come on, it's that takes some time. You can't rush the edging, Alan.
And actually,
hold on. What?
I mean, edging typically produces more of a result.
Why? Why? It's so gross. You're being gross.
Y'all let me in this damn house.
God.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
I wouldn't have let you talk if I known.
All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken.
To the Friday Headlines Roundup edition of Nut Taken, where every week my good friend Allan wrangles up the headlines. We talk them at you. Because I listen to 13 hours of podcasts today, and Allan watches 3 hours of cable news. So you don't have to. And now, get ready to take a sledgehammer to the Culture War echo chambers. But first, it's Friday.
So, another Friday is upon us. What'll you be doing, Smithers? Something gay, no doubt.
What?
You know, lighthearted, fancy-free. Mothers, lock up your daughters. Smithers is on the town.
Exactly, sir.
Exactly, sir. Head on over to fungiblenuntakens.com to buy our newest iterations of our show merch. We've got the brand new and already popular Culture Warriors, Culture War Veterans t-shirts. We have the
Me and the boys are edging.
Allan's Edging Services t-shirts and hoodies and sweaters, and all those products come on other things too. It's the logo that comes on other products. It also comes, well, we don't do that. No, it's
You're saying cum quite a bit.
yeah.
Cum pig.
I still haven't isolated that cum clip from the. I got to remember to do that. And you can go over to trumpgags.com if you would like to join the Patreon. Shout out to everybody that's in the Patreon. We are going to be, we'll be firing up our Discord. It'll have Patreon exclusive things on there. Hey, speaking of things that are exclusive for the Patreon, we have a video up there that none of you else are listening to yet because we don't have audio out for everybody else yet. Exclusive video, exclusive content right now. Our episode with Julian and Cody, you can get that there. Already getting good feedback on that. Their personalities were surprising. Well, Cody, I'm familiar with. I listened to the Foxhole and his former iterations of his podcast. I've seen energetic Cody when he gets a nickel.
Yeah.
I don't know that you have. So you were like, whoa, what's going on with Cody today? I'm
quite
like,
a thing.
no, this is him when the bald eagles start flowing.
Right.
But you know, I was impressed with Julian's reserved, how reserved Julian was. Although we'll get him back on, and it'll just be the three of us, and we'll be like, "Hey, listen, bud, we're here for your spicy takes. Let's hear that shit." And we didn't get to ask him about P. Diddy and anything about New York, so we'll get Julian back on for a little bit more. But you'll like that. You can watch that whole episode over at trumpgags.com. Join the Patreon, $3 a month, all the way up to. I meant to say this. Our top tier.
Mm-hmm.
You can join and be a culture warrior. And Allan, I don't know how to make this happen yet, but what do you say we give anybody who signs up for a culture warrior shirt that comes?
Hell yeah, that sounds great.
That's better than me washing your car because
yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
So sign up for the $18 a month tier, and you get the culture warrior shirt gratis. For now, you'll just have to DM me. We'll figure out a way to make that happen automatically. But
I like it.
Allan, can you tell people other things?
Yeah, so trumpgags.com, you already mentioned for our Patreon, but also support the people that support us. Slickitsdigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. Slickitsdigital.com. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Happy Friday. The weekend is here. Have a can of beer.
Or a box of wine.
Whichever libation you prefer.
A
cocktail might suit just as well. Yeah, we got some headlines to talk at you.
Cocktail. Oh yeah, I don't have the headlines in front of me.
Did you get?
Do you know?
distracted?
Have you ever heard about cocktail being a reference to a rooster and it having to do with a morning drink?
No,
Yeah,
like a
I
Bloody
don't-
Mary kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. But I
Okay.
believe that cocktails were reference to having like a nice, some morning constitution or some
Right,
fortified
right. So
beverage.
the cock crows, you wake up and you have a cocktail. It makes perfect sense.
That is a beautiful cock.
I somehow suspected that was coming.
Yeah. Well, it's your show. I'll let you drive. I'll just play.
All right. So first one, Key Bridge collapse update. So the bridge in Baltimore that we all saw the tanker vessel run into and collapse. Divers recovered the bodies of 2 construction workers while 4 remain missing. A data recorder from the ship was recovered amid an ongoing investigation of the crash. So that's like a black box, essentially, you can find on an airplane, but on a boat. They are now focusing on trying to get the debris out because it's not really safe for divers to go in there currently to search for the other people that they believe are down there.
You still buying the media's message, Alan? You sheep, wake up, sheeple. Boat fuel can't melt steel beams.
Alex Jones had a post on Twitter saying that World War III is already here, and it looked too intentional to him, and this was planned. Yeah, he's like that. They did that on purpose. World War III is happening.
I have a clip for next week's big show where the guy is saying, Moscow Mitch, his wife, remember the lady that drowned in her Tesla on some guy's
sister-in-law.
Yeah, sister-in-law. She happens to be an executive at the company that owns the ship. Oh
no shit!
And then he goes, "You can't make this up. They're trying to hide it from us." Like, what do you like? Connect the dots. You connect the dots. You did not connect anything there.
There's no dots.
There's there's a handful of mega shipping corporations in the world. She is in that industry,
right?
So like, this is not surprising.
Not surprising at all.
Yeah. So
also, lesson to learn from that is don't back your Tesla into a pond. Apparently, that's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Those windows, when the electronics get burnt out from the water damage, it's you're fucked.
Remember when Johnny Carson's DeLorean kept like running out of electricity and like,
oh yeah,
he had called John DeLorean while he was having like a major event
malfunction.
Motherfuck him. He's like, I'm on the 101 right now. It's 85 degrees. Check a Slim Shady with the windows up in the mid 80s.
I do remember that. I think that was part in the DeLorean.
It was in the movie, but I do remember that story.
Yeah.
I'm smart, not because the movie told me out.
You're smart.
You see, I'm smart, not like dumb, like everybody says.
How do you like them apples? I got a number.
That's a different number. That's a. Are you conflating The Godfather and Goodwill?
Yes,
Hunting?
I am. I am. All right, shall we move on to the next?
Yes. Okay. A California judge. I have not seen these headlines. Oh boy, I see John Eastman. Was this University of Irvine lawyer John Eastman? University of Irvine legal.
I think so. Yeah.
Teacher, instructor, professor of law John Eastman. A California judge recommended that former Trump lawyer and University of Irvine professor John Eastman be disbarred pending a final ruling from the California Supreme Court. No shit. Hey, turns out if you give the former president legal advice as to how to run a coup, you probably aren't going to be allowed to defend or
continue to practice law
in front of a judge, at least.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny you say that. So essentially, his defense was like he was just a lawyer doing lawyer things. Lawyers do this stuff all the time. Yeah, and the judge is like, yeah, no, no. So yeah, it's gonna go.
I didn't make him do it. I told him this might work.
Right. So it's going to go to the California Supreme Court, and it seems likely he will be disbarred. I believe he's also facing a similar thing in D.C. He was there. They had 11 different charges against him for this disbarment, and the judge confirmed 10 out of the 11. So pretty significant. It was 9/11. Right? That would have been funny.
Yeah. 9 times out of 11.
But relatively significant. I mean, we're just watching these people who have been sycophants for this man for all these years, just dropping like flies. It's like, why would anybody want to invest anything personally into this brand? I mean, like, all it's going to do is you're going to get fucking burned. Like, everybody, you're going to go to jail. Like, you're going to pay fines. You're not going to be able,
I mean, even right now do you have a headline in here about his latest pump and dump scheme, or did we talk about that on the big show?
We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that.
So I have a question about that.
Okay.
Does everybody know what we're talking about? Can you recap?
Yeah. So True Social went public with the SPAC. Last we checked, it was at $59 a share. I don't know what it is now.
It was in the 60s.
Okay. Yeah. So Trump Media and essentially all the fanboys and fangirls are buying up this stock to inflate its value. And really, this company is, it's in the red. It's lost like $45 million since its inception. But people are buying into it because of the Trump brand. So
yeah.
There you go.
So he can't sell his stocks for 6 months.
Yeah.
But he needs.
And he has like 80 million shares or something like that. 79 million, I think.
Now, in the past, when he's had a situation where like he didn't go on Troth Central for like 3 months once it was on, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I feel like it would not be good business sense for the company for him to immediately sell his stocks. Like, there's a ticking clock for 6 months, right?
Right.
And at the end of that 6 months, it would make sense that he sell those.
Sure.
To make all that money. But can't you I don't know how to do this stuff, but I feel like you could set a 6-month clock on like a short selling scheme.
I see what you're saying.
Or the
short the stock. Yeah. Short the stock for 6 months from now.
Yes. But I don't know that you can count on him. But at the same time, hodling with Donald J. Trump, the brand, doesn't sound wise.
No, not at all.
Yeah. You don't want time in hands in that environment.
No, you don't. Did you see his post on True Social? I think it was last night.
Oh, the one where he said Joe Budden?
Yeah, Budden. And he said,
pump it up.
And make America grust again or something like that. He couldn't spell great, right?
Yeah, the moment.
Yeah, there was a couple other, I can't remember what it was. There were other words in there that just made no sense.
There was like 7 misspellings.
Yeah. It was.
I love that he typed Joe Budden. Like that's yeah.
Somebody was saying that
you know what? It's right next to the I. I'm looking at the keyboard.
Sure.
It's an easy mistake, just like Kofefe.
Somebody was saying that Biden should just own it and start smoking joints and be like, "Yeah, bro, I'm Budden.
Legalize it, dog. Like that's your campaign. I'm Joe Budden.
I mean, single issue voters.
So here's your Green New Deal.
Hell yeah. All right. A judge issued a limited gag order in former President Trump's hush money case, limiting his public remarks on witnesses, prosecutors, court staff, and jurors. So he can still say whatever he wants about the judge and his family, as he already has done.
Wait, which case is this?
This is the Stormy Daniels case.
Stormy.
Yeah, the hush money payment. You know what's so ironic about that is, in retrospect, that payment was completely unnecessary. Like, that wasn't going to derail him. Like, if grabbing by the pussy wasn't going to derail his campaign, that wasn't either. So, like, they could have just let that story come out.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even have mattered.
Also, you're going to trust a porn star to keep their mouth shut,
right?
Well,
those NDAs are pretty significant, but yeah,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking,
I understand.
Oh, okay.
Metaphorically,
there's an oral joke. Yeah,
sure. Gawk.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty ironic that he stepped in it on that one. I don't know. I play with my tonsils all the time.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, you want to hit the next one?
Yeah, Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I love how NPR and all the liberal rags I check in on promoted this. They really tried to put Florida or put Disney over on it. I haven't read this headline yet. I saw the first word.
Okay.
Disney reached a settlement with Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, SIFTOD, ending a legal dispute over last-minute agreements made by Disney before Florida revoked its self-governing status in the district. So if you remember, I don't know if you know the history, but like Disney went on like a very shady buying up all the land from all these different landholders.
It's like a 40 square mile
before they built Disney World there.
Right.
And they didn't, it was, if you've seen There Will Be Blood, just like that, exactly like that. Like, not letting anybody know why they were doing it.
Right.
Again, not the first time anybody's done that, but somewhat shady. And then they got permission from the state of Florida to basically be an independent state.
Essentially, well, I would say more an independent district, independent city almost, where they controlled everything, including like refuse disposal, like garbage pickup and shit like that. And so DeSantis made a big deal about it after the former CEO of Disney came out against the whole "Don't Say Gay" bill that DeSantis pushed forward in the Florida legislature. So that pissed him off, and he said, "Well, fine. If you're going to come out and say that, then we're going to revoke your status,"
which is retaliatory.
Right. Disney managed to sort of pull a fast one at the end and essentially get this board that was going to
board
run.
that was being dissolved.
Right. They're able to get their members on the new one, essentially. And it's been litigated ever since.
And at the end of the day, Disney's move got nullified, and Disney's going to go back to trying to make money as a tourist operation. And
right. Well, and then, I mean, DeSantis came out and said, you know, this is fine. I mean, obviously, 10%, I think, of Florida's GDP. 10% of Florida's GDP comes from tourism. I think that's something like that. So maybe on.
Well, they didn't put Disney World there because nobody's going there for tourism.
But it definitely has an impact. And maybe if you run a state that has that large of its economics based on tourism, you don't want to fuck with a huge driver of tourism. I mean,
yeah. So what you're also neglecting in that side of that story is what Connor said when he came on here, where when he worked in the state capitol, everybody there hated Disney
because they had such a huge lobby, and they basically just slammed their dick on the table. Right.
Over anything that was,
right.
So this has been below the radar for everybody.
Right.
That hasn't had that perspective.
This has been going since like 22, right? I think.
Yes, but I mean, like, for decades, people have been
sure. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Disney for interjecting and things. So
sure.
This is how it manifested. So,
but so they finally came to some sort of amicable agreement, and they're moving forward.
Yeah, DeSantis got everything that he wanted, and Disney was like, "No, it's cool. We agree. It's fine." Like,
I think they got to put some people on the board that they wanted, and he got to put some people on the board that he wanted. So like a former city manager and a former tourism manager as well. So it worked out. All right. It's me. Yeah. Amazon invested $2.75 billion more into Anthropic, a top artificial intelligence startup, marking the latest large big tech investment into the quickly developing AI space. So they had already put 1.25.
Isn't that a store for like middle-aged
anthropology, I think is what you're thinking.
Spell it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So they'd already invested in $1.25 billion. So that takes their total investment in this company to $4 billion. The company is claiming that their AI currently is already better than the most recent iteration of ChatGPT.
Can it accurately draw the founding fathers?
We didn't check that yet.
Okay, they should double check that before they release it.
They probably should. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize how much of Amazon's revenue comes from like AWS, their web services.
Yeah,
it's a significant chunk of their revenues. Not
so what are you saying? That's what they're using for data to harvest or to?
So yeah, exactly. So they're gonna integrate that with that service, and just think about the amount of data that's in that cloud is insane. So pretty big investment. I think this is, if I read correctly, this is the largest capital investment Amazon's done since its inception. So a significant investment in this technology.
More than rockets?
I think so.
At one time, at least.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Expensive. Rockets should be more than a bridge.
$4 billion is a lot of money.
That's a lot of billions of dollars.
That's a lot of dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about this dead guy?
Yeah, I just left it.
So, loser of the most significant election of me and Allan's lifetime, Joe Lieberman, Gore Lieberman, Sore Loserman.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm getting all them off my chest.
Do it.
Former senator and vice president nominee Joe Lieberman died at 82 due to complications from a fall. Oh, that's sad. I didn't hear that part before. Recently, he helped lead the centrist political group No Labels. Look, I recognize that sometimes I fall into the trap of saying the same things everybody says that's like tainted through our culture wars and our political bias and everything. I don't have a lot of like good things to say about Joe Lieberman politically. I feel like he disappointed me every time that I like saw new things from him. He seemed to like war an awful lot. He turned out not to be a very good vice presidential pick. Turned out Jewish American wasn't going to be vice president in 2000. maybe that was a better time with the anti-Semitism. But I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but I'm saying that maybe the Democrats yet again were a little too careless with their vice presidential nominees.
You know what? I would actually argue the opposite of that. I think that Joe Lieberman at the time was very centrist, kind of a
He's
milk
always been
toast.
centrist, yes.
Yeah, like kind of a milquetoast politician.
Yeah.
I think he was technically an independent. He just caucused with the Democrats.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how he
and
ended
so
up.
right. And so what happened was Gore chose him as his VP because of that.
Yeah.
He was trying to get the middle.
Yeah, but
The
you already
problem-
had that. You were Bill Clinton's
Yeah,
vice
and the
president.
problem was that he was so fucking boring that it
Right.
was so
Yeah, but you already had the middle. That was
Sure,
Bill Clinton.
Sure,
Like,
but that was the idea. I think the campaign had at that time was this guy can hold the middle for us, and then we can do it.
They already had the middle.
I know
Al
that in
Gore wasn't,
retrospect.
Mr. Climate Change and all that stuff yet.
Sure.
He was the milquetoast vice president.
Right.
Of
So you ended up with a milquetoast ticket.
Yeah, and then you had
Supreme Court
the son of a previous president and Dick fucking Cheney. Right. That was a bad matchup.
And then you had the Brooks Brothers revolt,
Yeah,
and the Supreme Court decided
5,000 votes in Florida or something like that.
And then we had
which they actually won
war.
with every recount that has actually been like. I know this is 25-year-old news, but that recount.
What about the hanging chads, Dustin? There were hanging chads.
They stopped it. The Supreme Court stopped it.
Right.
Because they were approaching on an outrageous time period since the election. They said we just need an answer now.
But if you were
alive, recounts showed that Al Gore won that state.
Right. If you were alive then, though, or paying attention to the news then, hanging chads was like just in every other sentence on the news. It was just
to this day it feels like you said it and I'm like, we have to move on. You can't say things okay. Like maybe that's not that way to people anymore, but my ears still like it's
cringe a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you saying that's what she said.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's funny to you. Like, and we're live. You can do it if it makes you happy. I'm joking.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and rest in peace. I don't mean to be, rude about the man's death. He's no Kissinger, but
no, definitely not.
Yeah. He was the worst type of independent and he always leaned towards war.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. All right. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case over the abortion pill mifepristone, appearing likely.
If they had more oral, they wouldn't need the.
Jinxton. No. Gawk. Appearing likely to maintain access to the pill that is used in over 60% of U.S. abortions. A ruling is expected by early July. So there were essentially two arguments that the court seemed to side with. The first being that the people who brought the case did not have standing and that they couldn't really prove that.
Man, she couldn't even stand. I mean, give her the pill.
No, they couldn't really prove that they had any harm because of this pill being allowed to be distributed.
Yeah.
The second argument was that the court felt like they would have to be overturning the FDA. Essentially, they're saying that
they would have to say that the judges know more about it than the FDA.
Correct. And people, the judges were like pretty skeptical about doing that, which makes sense. They're not fucking scientists; they're judges. So why should they be, diving into that pool? There's no reason. So I think across the board, even some pretty conservative justices seemed quite skeptical of this.
Yeah.
This could be a 9-0 ruling.
I think that part of the reason this even got there was because the appeals court level was one of the judges' wives was paid by the company,
right?
In some way. So
that's true.
This got brought to their attention and they had to decide it, and it's questionable why the lower court elevated it to this level.
Yes, that's true. So I mean, it's
these judges' wives, Alan. These uppity broads.
Fucking
repeal the
Thomas.
Never mind.
Yeah. Is it Jeannie Thomas? Is that her name?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Jeannie or Jenny?
Yeah, I think it's Jeannie. Anyways, so interesting because this is the same Supreme Court that had the Dobbs decision, right? So this sort of seems contradictory.
Why?
But I feel like, because they're saying that you can limit abortion to however many weeks. They're overturning Roe v. Wade, but then they're allowing this medication to go forward. I think that they're okay with allowing this medication to be out there, though. That's my sense.
It brings down the number of weeks and all that, though. That
Sure.
was the thing is that, well, I mean, ideally, right? Like you take this before you get to the
Soon.
weeks
Early, yeah.
consideration, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's not it. That's the morning after pill. Yeah, I'm doing a
Plan
bad
B.
job. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and hit the next one.
Well, I was
We're
looking
back
up
to
the
Florida
19th
land.
Amendment. I was looking up the 19th Amendment,
Oh,
just freshening up on whether we need to keep that or not. But, is that in code enough? They're not going to be able to understand what I mean, right? They don't get that.
no, it'll be fine.
Us guys get it though. Where are we?
Number 6.
This one?
8. I'm sorry, 8. Yeah.
Florida Governor DeSantis, Republican, in case you didn't know, signed a law that prohibits minors under the age 14 from having social media accounts effective January 2025. That's this next January.
Yeah.
Kids,
So
you have to sign up now.
initially, they tried to pass a law that was 16 and under, and DeSantis vetoed that bill. But then they came back with the 14-year-old age limit, and he signed it.
Why is that? What was the difference? Was there other
He
language?
felt that 16-year-olds that was too. They should still have access to
16 and
social-
under. He wanted to drop it lower.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm used to the other laws that lower and I
Sure.
get it.
Yeah. So essentially,
I
it puts.
I think that makes sense. I also think what he wants makes sense. I also think this is not freedom. So like it doesn't go in line with all the, this is the free state of Florida and all that shit. Like it's not freedom to tell businesses what they can't do. And it's not freedom to tell parents that their kids can't have a social media site.
Yeah. So a couple things. Let me just a couple
right.
details before we talk about the meat of it. So it requires these social media companies to essentially police themselves. And if they find an account that is, being used by somebody under 14, they're supposed to delete it. If they don't, they can sue, and the child who has that account gets $10,000.
What?
And then
and then the bounties. People are going to be clever.
and then the company,
No problem.
depending on the number of people who are harmed by this, so to speak, the company can pay like a $50,000 fine as well.
Huh.
So, but it's on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and all of them to sort of police themselves, and then the public can, as you said,
It's just
essentially
going to be like
reach
when
out
we
to
were a
them.
kid and you go into porn sites. They're like, you better be 18.
Right. Or even if you go to like a site that has like a beer garden or whatever, it does the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you that it is an infraction of freedom, and I wish that there was a caveat here where if you as a parent say, fuck it, I want my 13-year-old to be on TikTok, I think they should be there and I'm okay with it, that you should be able to sign off on that and allow that to happen. There is no option.
That's not included in this?
No, there's no option for that currently.
I had imagined that they did. Wow.
Yeah, no, as far as I read, there wasn't.
Wow.
However, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean,
It's
social
everything
media,
that they say about, and that's the age cutoff to,
Yep.
like kids that have that exposure earlier than like 13, 14 really can't. And when they do studies where they ask kids, would you rather not have a smartphone until you're 18? They're like, hell no. They're like, wait. Same question. None of your friends do either. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I wish I didn't fucking have this.
Yeah.
And you come to think of it, like I remember being in high school when cell phones started to kind of show up. Cell phones, like not even flip phones, right?
Sure.
Well, maybe they were flip phones. They were those Nokias that you couldn't break. Remember, 5130s or whatever. I think that was.
I think it was 6130, but yeah.
Okay, well,
there was different ones, but yeah.
I remember I was sitting in my chemistry class and I asked Mike Stanger, "Why the fuck do you need a cell phone?" And I was like, "You have a pager. It works just fine. Why on earth do you need a cell phone?
You can play Snake on the Nokia.
What are you going to use that for?" Literally, that was the answer. I was like, "Oh,
really?
Play Snake? Yeah, it was so good."
Oh, that's funny.
You got to do the perimeter and then down and then zigzag.
Yeah. Jordan Klepper on the Daily Show had an interesting quote. He's like, he read this headline essentially and was like, I actually agree with DeSantis on this one. I feel pretty bad about it.
But I don't agree with it I don't agree with government doing that.
Sure. Overall, yeah, I agree. It's an infringement of liberty.
They can do
And the
they can
parents
do-
should be able to do what they want. I mean, they,
these companies could do third-party verifications where kind of like with drug testing, where both sides don't get to see who sees it. I guess the employee side doesn't matter, but anyways, where you
wall it off essentially. So you have
there's a
ability
number
there,
that represents something that can be transcribed,
Scribed, I think.
translated by the third party, and then they can come back and say, okay, yes, this person is verified.
Right.
And then that's just like a massive data mine for somebody to hack into, which will happen eventually. But
all right. Federal authorities search properties belonging to musical mogul Sean Diddy Combs as part of a reported sex trafficking probe. So this has been kind of all over the headlines the last couple of days. I think we briefly touched on it with the Julian and Cody interview, but not much. So, man, stuff's coming out of the woodwork. There's been multiple allegations of sexual assault by various women in the last.
Are you going through the timeline kind of? Because I feel like when we did that episode with Mike, where we guested on Hunk like 6 months ago,
right?
That week was when that news broke, right?
One person I think had said that, but there have since been multiple women and men who've come out. The allegations are out there that he had cameras in all of his, his houses, and that he would film people in compromising positions and use it for blackmail.
No doubt.
Well, like the back of a Volkswagen.
Yeah, I mean, even his ex-girlfriend said that he would have her have sex with male prostitutes and film it against her will. All kinds of just crazy shit. Obviously, he's denying all of these allegations, but pretty significant. I mean, that guy is a fucking. I mean, this is a Weinstein, whatever size Me Too kind of thing here that's happening. He's a massive mogul in that industry.
It's Weinstein's monster.
Okay, Weinstein, got it.
It's not. Sorry.
So yeah, and you're seeing like I saw 50 Cent had some posts about it. 50 Cent, yeah. All kinds of people are posting shit about it.
Don't you wish Tupac was alive to see this?
Dude, so much.
God, he was like, "That fucking told y'all." Oh my God, could you imagine?
Dude,
Hit him up part 2.
Right? Holy shit!
Yeah,
I told you guys he was an asshole. Should have believed me the first time.
Fuck Bad Boy Entertainment as a label,
right?
Yeah. We'll see what kind of nerve I have towards the end of the show. I didn't realize how serious of a turn this was going to take. Our game is centered around Puff Daddy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of postings on social media of people, of pictures of like Biggie and Combs being together, or
Papa and Puff.
Yeah, like, and then Biggie's kind of looking at him a little like side eye, like he doesn't trust him, and you're like, oh, maybe he knew something. I don't know.
Why do you think Mace got out of there and became a priest?
Could be he had a moment, perhaps.
I did lie. I said priest. I think he's a pastor.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
It counts.
That's a true story. The biggest hip hop star of 1998 became a priest. Pastor.
Yes, that is a true story.
Old mumbly mouth.
I liked Mace back in the day.
I don't know. I can't remember the words. So I want to play Hit 'Em Up, but I don't think we should.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay, I'm just going to go to the end of it at the end of the show.
Okay.
Maybe.
You want to hit the next one?
Yeah, but I'm on a different page. Russia?
Yeah.
Russia charged 4 men with terrorism for carrying out the concert hall attack. 7 others have been arrested on suspicion of aiding in the attack.
Did you see the pictures of these guys as they were brought into the courtroom?
Yeah, the guy whose like jaw was over here.
Yeah, black eyes.
This whole part of his face was that way.
Yeah, the guy in the wheelchair that essentially
part of his ear.
The guy in the wheelchair that essentially passed out when they brought him in, like he lost consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get caught in Russia doing things like this. You know that.
Yes, and I'm not even
also. I don't think it's much better for you when you get caught doing things like this in Tajikistan either.
No, probably not. Probably not. So it was pretty shocking to see, but I'm not even really that mad about it. So yeah, they got these 4 guys, and they're saying other people were participating.
No, start over. You went. One of our internet's bad.
Okay. They got these 4 guys, and then they have additional suspects who they say were participatory in committing the crime, helped them do it.
Accomplices,
yeah. So I mean, it's so it's very
They're
tough.
trying to find as many Ukrainians as they can, basically, right?
Oh yeah, and Putin's still saying that while he acknowledged that ISIS did it, he's still saying that Ukraine enabled it. It's like, what the?
There's a huge difference between like Ukraine probably didn't want to stop it if they were aware, and Ukraine probably may have been an area that these people were combatants in, and these
possibly.
people are Ukrainians doing this for Ukraine. They're doing it for ISIS, who has plenty to be upset with Russia about.
Certainly, Chechen, all that thing, all
And
that stuff.
Syria, right?
And
Like,
Syria as well.
yeah. I mean, it's and then ISIS posted a video saying that they like who's next, and it's it had like I'm not sure if Lisbon, Paris, maybe it was Madrid. There was a bunch of different Rome. There was like 5 cities that it had listed as maybe that's what their next targets are. So, but maybe it's the CIA. That makes less sense to me. I mean, I'm always down for someone to prove that, but it makes the least amount of sense so far.
Yeah, from what I'm aware of about the narrative here, I don't think that makes any sense at all. So, I mean, I would be willing to entertain the possibility, but I just don't think.
But like the most plausible right now is not difficult to accept. So it's like why are you?
And if you're going to use Occam's razor, that makes
That's what I was trying to
the
say.
most plausible thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Russian court extended the pre-trial detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich for another 3 months, a 5th extension. So this is the guy that Tucker Carlson tried to get released when he interviewed Putin. The Russians claim that he was trying to steal classified information. Obviously, there's no evidence that they've put out to show that that's the case. And they just keep him in prison because there's no rights to a trial in Russia, so they can keep you in there as long as they want.
Just like Palestinians in Israel.
Yeah,
that is exactly how it is.
That's exactly how it is. Yeah. So, I mean, we got Griner back, and I know
we don't have any dealers left.
Yeah, various State Department officials have said they're still working to get him out, but it's been a long time. It seems like we should have been able to figure that out by now. So hopefully soon.
Yeah. This is Wall Street Journal. Is that where he wrote for?
Yeah, Wall Street Journal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like anybody's playing politics to leave him in there either.
Right.
Okay. Nigerian gunmen released over 130 school children who were held captive for over 2 weeks. You're going to have to fill that in with extra details. I didn't know about this story.
One of the reasons I left it in was I didn't either. I feel like we've almost become numb to.
Oh yeah. Atlas does all the news updates, and anytime it's Africa, I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember that. But
yeah,
I don't like, there's no context to tie it to because we don't fucking talk about it. Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we all remember the abduction of that girl's school a few years back, and there was all these, people protesting and trying, bring the girls back. Right. And I don't think that's ever been resolved still. At least 1,400 students have been kidnapped from Nigerian schools since 2014. 1,400 kids. In the last 10 years. So pretty
October 7th.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty.
What do they? This is a dumb question. What do they do with them?
Well, I think there's 2 things. So Boko Haram is typically the terrorist group that's involved in these kidnappings. So there's 2 things. So first of all, they don't like girls.
I mean, child that's male. Good God. Oh no, James, not on this one.
So there's 2 things. They don't like the idea of girls going to school, and then 2, it's profitable for them to do this. They get ransoms, and so that's what they do to make money. And yeah, it's just a shitty situation. And like I said, it's almost like it's happened so much in that area that we don't even it doesn't even make a blip on the radar.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is good. They got kids back. I like that, but people. There is some sort of
1% of the number you told me.
It is. There is some sort of groundswell in the public population there that the president needs to do something about this. But I mean, that country, the government there is so weak that these gangs, these criminal organizations, are able to do stuff like this with almost impunity, and it's going to take a lot to reverse that trend. But I think the more it's in the spotlight in the Western media, the better.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Is this a trend that's maybe getting better, or is it seeming like the trend's getting worse?
I would say it's pretty steady. I would say it's not either. But it's just been a constant. it's been a constant thing happening for the last decade. So
Right.
it's just
Okay.
yeah.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
Boeing said its CEO and senior executives will step down. Golden parachute. Remember the doors. By the end of 2024. So they're going to stay in. They're going to do a Mitch McConnell. Following a series of safety incidents and production problems. I'm so upset that my flight to New York is a
On a
800.
Boeing. Yeah.
No, it's
So
specifically the jet.
there is one executive. He was the CEO of the division that was the commercial airlines part of Boeing. He stepped down immediately. So he quit, and he's saying he did it voluntarily. So that's effective immediately. The rest of these executives, including the CEO, are stepping down at the end of the year. So Boeing had a policy, a mandatory retirement policy for their executives that they had to retire at 65. But the guy that they picked to replace the current CEO will be 67 by the time 2024 is over and they hand over the reins to him. So they changed the rule in their corporate bylaws to be 70 as
they're just dancing around it.
Yeah. But so essentially the company is saying that we had supply chain issues, and that's why we use these, less than
supply chain issues. Sorry, our jets suck.
Sure. So that's why we use less than optimal parts. But there's no excuse for this, and it's been happening for
Don't
quite
you
a
remember
while.
the car lots where they didn't have cars because of their supply
Yes.
chain issues?
Yeah,
I feel like
one
the
of-
supply plane issues could have the same. Like, sorry, like you don't get a jet this month.
Yeah.
Well, they
yeah.
were already behind, but still.
A lot of the CEOs of major airlines have been meeting with executives at Boeing saying, "What the fuck? Like, our orders are late, and then when you give a shit, it doesn't work right." So there has been a lot of outcry among the executives at other airlines for this
I get
manufacturer.
that, but you
So
don't
they
get to
almost
use this as an excuse for something.
no, you don't. You don't.
They trust their life in using, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I think there was really no option. These guys, it was untenable for them to stay in their position given what's happened.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing. Although, to your point, I think they should just immediately be gone. Why wait till the end of the year? But that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Your turn.
Is it? I think it's.
The EU opened The EU opened probes into Apple, Google, and Meta for potential breach of the Digital Markets Act. That's their one they did a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, recently we talked about it on the show when they enacted it,
marking the first major enforcement of this new law. Okay, I did listen to that podcast you sent me, the Underworld podcast.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But
yes, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. This is an extension of like the same thing, like as the Lena Khan stuff, right? Like,
yeah, essentially they're saying that they were implementing anti-competitive policies, not allowing people to uninstall certain applications. Like on Apple, you can't uninstall certain apps; they're just built into the phone. There's nothing you can do about it. Not allowing people to choose like what browser they want to use, like we talked about the last show. Same thing with Google, doing essentially the same things. So this is the first real sort of suit that's been brought under this new law. So we'll see how it turns out. Obviously, all these major companies are fighting to push back against this, and they got plenty of lawyers and plenty of money to do so. But we'll see.
Okay. I feel like that law is vague and I don't understand it.
Well, I feel like we're still trying to figure out how to write laws about this stuff. And I think another problem is that, as in the US, a lot of legislators in the EU don't really understand this sandbox that they're trying to regulate. And so, I mean, they can talk to experts as much as they want, but at the end of the day, they have to write this legislation that makes sense. So
that's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, we're going to see more of this stuff.
Feel like something that, due to the things that we've seen the outcomes of, deserves to have some type of regulation.
Yes,
I'm typically in favor of some light form of it, but I don't know. Like you just said, I don't think anybody really has, like, they're like, well, we can't just let these companies tell us what to write because we can't trust them.
Right.
But we don't know anything.
Sure. And these companies have massive lobbies, like massive lawyers and massive lobbies. So they can push for whatever legislation they want, and a lot of times they get their way.
I feel like the way it always settles is like those people, because I think the people I trust the most on this are the Tristan Harris and the divided attention people. And I think when all this stuff goes through, they're always saying like, look, we're happy with this. We like this. it can probably be perfected better, and we'll see how they can even apply what they're talking about doing. But those guys have such a concern about the potentially what's it called, existential threat of
Of AI.
yeah,
As
yeah.
well as the damage of social media to young
Right.
people, etc. I feel like those guys, and then the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, are good people to keep in your circle if you want to be up to speed on this stuff, because they're kind of on the forefront of all of this new legislation trying to regulate that industry. So yeah, stay close to those guys if you want to know what's going on there.
I still don't agree that charging Apple with antitrust is the appropriate over the iPhone. Like, I still can't buy into that. Like,
What did you think of that guy in Underworld?
I understand his point. He said
Yeah.
that LenaCon exists because of this moment, and those types of people around the world are being put into that position
Right.
because ultimately we want to see people not just sit idly by while we have a regulatory apparatus in our government. Like legal thesis or whatever, that I don't really trust her on this. And like I said, so everything that we just agreed on, that like, yeah, hopefully you can figure out a way to perfect that, but we not in a do something kind of way, but we need to have the best attempt we can at getting something written down about regulating this. I'd prefer as light as necessary, but whatever is necessary. And I just don't think that, as a separate thought, I don't think that suing Apple over the iPhone being a monopoly is the right. That's just, that seems like a misapplication. That's a miss, dog.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I found that episode very interesting to listen to. It's very much not what their usual content they put out over there is.
Yeah, that guy's book sounds interesting.
It does. I'm probably going to pick it up. I just picked up that book that Cody recommended yesterday.
Oh, good. 3 Dangerous Men.
3 Dangerous Men.
I just got Sapolsky's new book, Determinants, something about determined.
Robert Sapolsky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you listen to his episode with Sam?
I believe so. Yes.
It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Determinism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of people that we heard on Sam, we're in other news now. This first headline is the New York Times. I posted this on social this morning when I saw this
news. Made me go grab this, actually.
Yeah. Daniel Kahneman passed. He was 90 years old. I didn't realize that he was that, that he was that old.
Yeah.
But dude, that guy has just been such a pillar in the philosophical community. And then the things that he talked about, like risk aversion, and how people, like, if you
behavioral economics.
Yeah. If you go to a slot machine and you win $100, it doesn't feel or if you go to a slot machine and lose $100, it feels way worse to lose than it does to win. Like,
right. We're wired to remember losses more than we celebrate wins.
Yeah, and he was the first guy to sort of delve into that sphere. He wasn't an economist; he was a philosopher by training. But
him and that other guy wrote Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yes,
right?
Thinking Fast and Slow. Yeah. So just an absolute, pillar in the philosophical community.
I think he really shaped. I feel like it didn't really grab traction in the culture until like the 2010s, but maybe
I agree.
And I feel like that a lot of our thinking that shifted during that time period was because of. I never heard the phrase behavioral economics until like maybe 2013.
Well, he practically invented it.
Like, he did.
Yeah. So
and it makes sense when you break those words down. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
Yeah, so super interesting. Sam used to talk about him all the time. That's where I first encountered him, I want to say. But it's, a tragic loss, but a good life lived. He definitely accomplished a lot in his 90 years on the planet, and had, as you said, a huge impact on culture broadly. So
it's weird to think that 90 is not enough, right?
Yeah. So safe home, Daniel Kahneman. All right, we have another one. This is
It seemed like breaking news the other day.
Yes, you put this in. I hadn't seen this. It's from the Washington Post. Qatari Royal invested about $50 million in pro-Trump network Newsmax. So apparently there's documents.
Wait. I want you to talk about it.
Yeah.
Think of it in this context.
Okay.
What do people always compare Trump to? Like a mob boss, right? It's like, hey,
Mhm.
you don't give the boss the money. Why don't you go take care of his brother-in-law? His
Right.
brother-in-law will make sure he's square.
Take care of the big man.
Yeah, 10%.
Yeah. So there have been documents that have been released now that show this. Pretty surprising. Also, apparently, there were attempts by the Qataris to sort of shape the news coverage at Newsmax, although Newsmax was pretty much already on board with what they were trying to sell. Yeah,
$2
very.
million goes a long way with upstart news service.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
they're relatively small compared
Yeah.
to like your Fox Newses of the world.
Yeah.
And actually, when Fox sort of started to pivot away from Trump, a lot of his supporters went over there to
Right.
Newsmax or OAN,
And they had
because
quite a reason to not shift their style at that time.
right. But I mean, you just add this to the Saudis
This would
giving
be a scandal with any other president.
absolutely
And this is like, who fucking cares?
nobody even noticed.
Paid a porn star $140,000.
Right. You know, the Saudis gave Kushner $2 billion. Like it's just piled on to the
Son-in-law.
rest of
I
it.
said
over
brother-in-law just by accident earlier.
Yeah,
Son-in-law.
son-in-law.
That literally happened.
Yeah,
God
that happened.
Is that that's not the only Newsmax headline I found this week.
Oh, do tell.
Go open that one. Did you see the next one? Is it did you know? Did you know? You're never going to guess who the financial advisor was at Newsmax in 2021.
Fabio?
Yes, the
What
hair
the
model.
fuck?
Yes. Yeah, the Harlequin book cover model.
Fabio finances former model shares his top COVID-19 stock picks. So he was sharing, he bought like BioNTech and Moderna and Novavax.
You go down to like the second paragraph, it says something where it's like, this handsome model has been quite a celebrity stock picker.
Yes, it does say that.
Fuck, man. People don't forget.
That's wild. I haven't even thought of Fabio forever.
Yeah.
He used to be on the cover of every romance
Yeah.
novel. That's how people
And
knew him.
maybe they do his house on Lifestyles of the Rich and
Yes.
Famous.
Yeah. He's got that famous hair.
Yes.
And that jawline. Still looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Not bad. Anyways, no, that was an entertaining headline. I was not aware of that.
Well, speaking of an entertaining headline, why don't
Yes.
you go ahead and open up these? Did you get a chance to look at these?
Yes, I did. Well, so you put the first one, I put the second
I was
one.
going to say, what's the second one? Okay.
All right, so this first one is from space.com. DARPA picks...
Space.com. We missed it on that one. We should have got the space.com.
We should have parked there. Yeah. We could have squatted on it. DARPA picks Northrop Grumman to develop lunar railroad concept. The proposed rail system...
Whoa. Don't go too fast.
Okay.
A monorail?
A lunar railroad.
A monorail.
A monorail, yes. So at this point, it's sort of just a concept. They don't actually have, obviously, working prototypes.
I mean, they picked Northrop Grumman for their moon railroad.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the place to go if you're
doing high-speed rail on the moon now. They can't do it in this is a monkeys and pedestals problem.
It really is.
We can't even do light rail at home. You want to go do it on the fucking moon?
We can't even get light rail between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Oh, it's a moondoggle.
They managed to connect like Fresno and fucking Clovis.
What's the hardest part of high-speed rail? This is not a joke. That's not. It sounds like a setup for a punchline. What's the hardest part of high-speed rail?
The property that it runs through, because nobody wants it to run through their backyard.
Elevation change, like
true.
Okay, engineering mindset. The hardest part is getting it to work going uphill. Well, if you want to go from LA to San Francisco, you have to deal with the San Bernardino Mountains. So, think of driving up and down the Grapevine and then getting down in the Central Valley. And where did they start? Fresno, the flat part, and that's taken like 60 times their initial budget.
Their budget, yeah. I mean, the second part that's hard about it is nobody wants it in their backyard, right? NIMBY. And so they have difficult time procuring the land to run the railroad through. In a related article, I posted this
by the Chinaman Reservoir or whatever it's called, China Lake. What did I say? Jesus. God damn it.
So in related news, Ars Technica, I actually heard about this the same week. Mining helium on the moon has been talked about forever. Now a company will try.
Talk about a moondoggle.
So we've talked about helium on the show before, how it's in short supply, how it's used to make superconductors work because they have to be super cold, like MRI machines need helium to work.
And we don't have a way of manufacturing it.
We don't, and we have to essentially take it out of the ground the same way you acquire like natural gas. And there's limited supplies of that. The U.S. actually has like a stockpile of helium.
There's a huge underground network that's
Yes.
a giant tunnel between like Oklahoma and Texas.
Right. So they're apparently the sun's
there's a lot of helium in the sun.
Right. And the waves that hit the moon, because it doesn't have an atmosphere, it ends up creating helium pockets on the moon. And so a company is seriously considering. So these are people from Blue Origin, so Amazon, SpaceX kind of thing. So two former Blue Origin guys are trying to do this. They think that they can go to the moon and mine helium. And if that were to be the case, I mean, we've talked before about like mining asteroids and things like that, because there's a lot of rare earth. I guess it wouldn't be Earth anymore. Rare minerals and things like that in asteroids. But they think they can actually pull this off. So then you wouldn't need the railroad. You know, that's how you're going to transport.
No. So then now on the moon, what do we have? We have mining and trains and railroads. So what else are we going to have? That inevitably there's going to be moon train robberies, right? Which means we're going to need moon sheriffs. And there's probably going to be moon hangings.
Space cowboys.
Space cowboys. Yes. Can you even hang somebody in 1/8 Earth's gravity?
I don't think you can.
Can you? No. You know what? This is a dumb question I've been meaning to ask somebody.
Okay.
In 1/8 Earth's gravity, could you jump so hard that you float away?
No, there's too much gravity.
1/8 is still strong enough.
Still too much. Yeah,
I bet it would be scary. I bet at some point
it would be scary.
I'm going up too high here.
There's still too much mass. Yeah, you'd come back.
What if you're really strong?
However, you know
what if like Adrian Peterson did it?
You know what I was maybe those thighs, man. You know what I was just thinking is superconductors work in the cold. If you're on the dark side of the moon, it's very cold. There's always been this dream to make railways with superconductors that are effectively frictionless.
Oh,
so you could do that, and it'd be cold.
On the moon,
superconductors on the moon. Then you get your railway, and then because there's less gravity, you don't need as much force to move things around. This all makes perfect sense now. Actually, I think that's a good plan. It's a good idea.
We got to do like frontier towns up on the moon.
We got to try and get a SPAC together so we can buy this company. I think was what we need to do.
Say that word anymore.
Okay, I think that's all for other news. I don't know what you have here that I cannot see before Media Diet. Do you want to
later?
Okay, all right, not see.
Slip those past me, Alan.
I know. You want to get into media?
Yeah. What have you been watching?
All right, so I watched Ricky Stenicki on Prime, which you recommended.
What'd you think of it?
That is the fucking funniest movie I've seen in a very long time. Did you notice the scene in the coffee shop where you're like, oh, they're doing a Seinfeld thing right now?
Yeah. Well, remind me. It's been a couple of weeks.
So in the beginning, when they're kind of hashing out what to do, like what their plan's going to be, they're all sitting in like a booth at a coffffee shop.
Oh, I didn't notice that. It was like a Seinfeld seating.
Exactly.
Oh my
God.
Like the camera like right over here.
Yes.
Damn
I was like, oh shit, they're doing Seinfeld right now.
That's so funny.
Santino is fucking hilarious. The whole concept is hilarious. Yeah. John Cena, dude.
Cena.
Holy fuck. Dude, I cannot recommend that movie enough. If you got Prime, take a couple hours and watch it. It is a good fucking time. You will. You'll have a good time.
In like a post-hangover world, like this is what passes for a very good comedy.
Yes,
like comedy, right? Like you don't have to like critique it too much. There's things you're gonna hate about it. Yeah,
it's just funny.
It's annoying, but it's funny. Yeah.
Yes.
You like none?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will. I'll probably watch it again. Every now and then. Keep it in the rotation.
So you watched Dunes?
I watched Dune Dos. I think I sort of briefly mentioned that on the last show with Tim and Allison over there in Concord. It was an awesome movie. The sound is very impressive. I recommend you watch it in at least an IMAX theater that has good sound because it's a huge part of the movie. Man, just a really great storyline, really well done, very impressive. I didn't read the book, so I don't have the background that you have with this story.
I almost spoiled it. It hasn't been long enough. I'm not going to do that yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted you to talk about I'm fine with the way they changed the storyline.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense because there's too many books.
It's a very complicated storyline.
The thing is, at the end of the first series of books that
Uh-huh.
that I felt like they were making into 2 movies. At the end of the first series of books, it's very open-ended, but you do feel like a story has been finished, right? And then
Right.
like there is a new thing starting, but a story has been finished. You can, if you want to, and if the writer continues it, but you'd feel satisfied. And I didn't feel that way leaving this movie, and I don't like that about it. That said, I'm right here, and they're going to make 5 movies. So if I was watching this movie and then somebody said, well, do you want to watch the next one? I'd be like, oh, well, right now? Yes. But right now, I don't like that the whole story has been told, and it feels like it stopped at a point that, as someone who has read the books, doesn't like that version of how they did it. But they did it well. And this different version, I think, will be very satisfying in the context of the finished project.
Nice. Okay.
What do you think of the casting? What did you think of the casting of the Emperor?
I thought it was good. What did you think?
There was times where he sounded like him. He sounded like the actor.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
There was times where I was like, okay, you're just going to talk like you. You didn't do a voice. You didn't care that you're just going to be like the cliche you voice for this role. Okay, that's fine. But it doesn't take you out of it.
It doesn't.
Briefly, maybe.
The one thing that was weird to me is they had like weapons like guns and stuff, but they primarily used like melee hand-to-hand combat with swords. And I was like, why don't you just shoot people if you have that technology available?
It attracts the worms.
Oh, right.
Or the shields attracts the worms. I think yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unless you're willing to risk it, you don't want to use those.
You want to ride the worms, man. It looked like a good time.
Yeah, they turn them into a fucking school bus, right?
Yeah.
Or a high-speed rail. We got worms at home. Why would you have rail? They should put worms on the moon.
Indeed. What about you, man? What have you been consuming?
I have 2 things to talk about. One, the series that I think either you or Tim recommended, The Gentleman. So it's a series largely based off of everything that Guy Ritchie's done, because everything Guy Ritchie's done is the same thing. We're British, we do crime, but isn't it sophisticated and proper?
Proper gangsters.
Yes. So it's a series off that, and it's very much a series specifically off of, I think, the 2019 movie The Gentleman with Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Hunnam. It's good if you like Guy Ritchie. If you don't like Guy Ritchie, this is probably one of the worst things you could possibly watch, because it is aggressively Guy Ritchie told over 48 to 50 minute episodes. So it's like, it's TV episodic Guy Ritchie, which is a very obnoxious type of Guy Ritchie. Now, he's the producer, but I mean, people have been copying his style. There's people that are upset with that. Same with Tarantino, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's good if you like those crime stories. There's times where, like, by like the 5th episode, you're like, wow, it's just every episode is like, this week on The Gentleman, something happens that will be resolved by the end of the episode. And at the end of it, nothing's different, because the person that made you do this backstabbed you, and that person backstabbed that person. So you double cross the second person to kill the first one. And at the end of the day, you're right where you started. Like, and that's fine. But like, it kind of feels like an episode of Matlock, or I guess Suits, from what I've been told.
Okay. Is it very, because usually his movies are very like, almost like music video, the way the action proceeds.
Yeah, dude, there's this one opening shot for as episode 5. The opening shot starts off on a with a song intro, and a somebody hitting a golf ball with a driver, and it's very clearly the male protagonist. And then it lands on the green, bounces into the cup, and lips the cup and rolls out like 2 feet from it, right? Very next shot, he goes, they're on the green, and his partner is hitting that ball, and he's hitting the one that's like 6 feet in front of the green. And that's a huge continuity error. Like, how do you fuck up who, like,
which ball?
I mean, if you've ever played golf, which apparently, a refined gentleman does, you're like, well, that's his shot. Like, if you were watching a game of golf, you'd be like, why is the other guy doing that? Right. Like, you would remember that.
Absolutely.
Just because you're watching a movie, that part of your brain doesn't that would bug you.
Doesn't turn off. Yeah. And they never like sort that out. It's just the thing.
No, they just didn't pay attention to that. But they do a better job than the Lady Ballers guys did.
My God.
The Some More News podcast did, or video, YouTube did a great 2-part series on the Ben Shapiro, Jeremy Boring, Daily Wire cinematic universe.
Yes.
This all came up. I wasn't going to watch I was not going to watch Lady Ballers, and I wasn't going to watch a 2-part episode critiquing Lady Ballers. But Tim sent me a DM saying, like, what do you think of this? And I just said, like, that's hilarious. They're doing a movie making fun of people saying they're trans.
Right.
And I was like, if that's what they want to do with A, their money, B, their time, I think they should, because I would tie up your time and resources on something. Yeah. Like I think
it was so spectacularly bad.
Yeah. But the people that are like in the cult of like, ha ha ha, everything they do is funnier to me because it owns the libs. And it's the same reason I don't really laugh much at Saturday Night Live either, or like Stephen Colbert Show, because it's like, this isn't a funny version of doing this. Yeah.
I mean, Ted Cruz is even in that movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that they did a 2-part podcast on it. The first part is very funny. They just poke at all the sort of the different iterations of media that they're producing over there at Daily Wire,
culminating with this Lady Ballers movie being like.
And the second one is just a deep dive into Lady Ballers.
Yeah.
Which wasn't as fun because the movie is so bad.
I know Natasha was in the other room and she's like, "Are you gonna watch this movie?" She's like, "I'm like, no." And she's like, "Why are you watching like a
movie about the movie?" Yeah.
Well, no, they're like talking about like continuity errors,
right,
and, like story arcs and all this shit.
Yeah.
But that's because the guy, that guy with the beard at the Daily Wire.
Oh no, boring guy.
One of them. No, the guy with the beard, the black beard, but whatever. Michael Knowles or one of those guys. He was like, I hope people give us a real Matt Walsh.
Oh yeah, critique.
He's like, I hope people give us like a critique from like an artistic perspective, what they think of this. So
because they were bragging about their audience score on Rotten Tomatoes versus the critic score. Yeah. Right. Saying everybody loves.
You did a culture war. Like, of course, your warriors went and voted. Like,
right. Of course.
Okay. Anyways, I did start watching a movie that I did not finish. Turns out it wasn't as interesting as it sounds. So I don't think I'm going to ruin anything for you guys. It's for free on Amazon. I hate when people say for free. You can't be for something if it's nothing. It's free. Sorry. Anytime in ads, like professional ads will say, you get this for free. I'm like, no, you get it free. It can't be for nothing. Like, okay. Anyways, I watched a movie free on Amazon called Butt Boy.
What the?
This is not about Puff Daddy, which is a little foreshadowing for our upcoming game.
Okay.
Look, man, they tell you a little bit about the movie and they show you a trailer and it's kind of compelling. Here's the premise. Ready?
I'm ready. Do tell.
A man is being suspected by he's being accused, and a detective is looking into some mysterious disappearances. They believe that a man is hiding things in his butt. It's like a horror movie where it's a little improbable, but it's like, like vaginas don't have teeth, but that's a good movie, right?
Fair.
So yes. Butt Boy. So like, it starts off with like a remote control, and the lady's like, "Where's the remote control?" His wife is like, "Where's the remote control?" It starts. I think he went to the proctologist and he liked it, and he's like, "Why don't you put more things in there?" And he does his shampoo bottle, the remote control. It's kind of like that Adam Sandler song from his first tape.
It's supposed to be a comedy, I take it.
It's like a comedy horror detective movie. That's the problem. It doesn't know what kind of movie it's going to be. Okay. And every scene is too long. So you're like, if you did this in like 30 minutes, I'd watch this, but it's an hour 30. There's a part where like a dog and a child go missing, and it's implied that, that's where they are.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's not good. But
yeah, that sounds pretty fucking bad.
You can watch the first 5 minutes of it and you'll laugh.
Okay, all right.
In case you forgot the name, it's Butt Boy.
Yeah, I did not forget the name.
All right.
Yeah,
I remember. Do you want to play unrelated to that? Do you want to play a game?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I have Puff Daddy or Diddy trivia for you, Alan.
Okay.
Game ripped from the day's headlines.
Ripped.
Yeah, so to speak. That phrasing. Okay, give you a softball on the first one. What is Diddy, aka as we first learned of him, Puff Daddy's real name?
Sean Combs.
That's right, Sean Puffy Combs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the.
By the way, was that just because he wore puffer jackets? Because he wasn't like.
Oh well, puffy. Alan. Here is the second follow-up question. How did he get his name?
I'm gonna say puffer jackets, but I don't know.
It was not that. It was Pee Wee football, and he was a little tyke, and with his shoulder pads on, he looked like he was puffed up. And
Okay.
got the nickname Puff Daddy.
All right, I can see that.
Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy.
Probably had nothing to do with smoking pot, right? That
It's
sounds like a
totally-
story you tell like a magazine reporter, like, not from smoking weed.
Or maybe he knew people from Australia. He thought that was cool.
Puff. Oh, we don't. That's going to be referring to something that nobody knows, Alan. That is not in the show. I was texted about this. Her uncle listens, and yeah, I was like,
fine.
"LOL, it's in the Patreon. If you want to get that joke, join the Patreon. It's $3.
Yeah, there you go.
We're putting our heart on the line. You can give us $3. Come on, it's not for nothing, you know. And if you do $19, you get a shirt that says "Culture Warrior," which you clearly are. You
Hell yeah.
seem to be a culture warrior. Bad Boy. You want to guess the Bad Boy origin?
I mean, it just seemed like it was obvious, but I guess he was a bad boy.
No, you're wrong, actually.
Okay.
So you get points for the first one.
Okay.
What's his name? Bad Boy is in reference to what he would tell his male lovers because he's gay, Alan, remember?
All right.
Yeah.
He would say bad. Wait, is that?
Yeah, he'd say, "You're a bad boy." Yeah. And then he named his record label that.
Wow.
All right. So the next trivia question. Why did Mace mumble so much? Do you want to take a guess based off that last answer?
Were there things in his
Yeah,
mouth?
because Puffy's balls were in his mouth. Yeah. This is Puff Daddy trivia.
Oh god.
Yeah. You couldn't tell in the studio, and then he had to mimic it.
Right.
Marshmallows in his mouth for his shows.
I'm sure.
Chubby Bunny. Yeah.
Like the Godfather with the Kleenex.
Yeah, exactly. Cotton balls. Yeah.
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 Cotton balls.
It's,
Right.
You know what? People keep saying Puffy's gay, but he wasn't gay. It's not gay. It's blackmail, Alan.
Yeah. I would
Sometimes
say,
you got to fuck a guy if you want to have footage of him fucking a guy so that you can have blackmail over him.
sure. Sometimes you just got to do these
Ah,
things.
you know what? If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. He's a businessman. He's a go-getter.
He's
you know?
doing business things.
Yeah,
You know, he's
yeah.
just
I gotta get my blackmail one way or the other. And then it just gets carried away, and before you know it, you're filming your wife fucking a male prostitute.
you know, it's a slippery slope, that one, so to speak.
This became much more fun. I was worried about that game.
That was a fun game.
Okay, I'll ask you a question
Yeah.
to end the show.
Mhm.
So Dune is basically, I'm glad you saw Dune.
Yeah.
Dune is basically white people discover Islam, right? Like if you were to describe it to someone that doesn't understand the movie.
Yeah, there's definitely some parallels.
Because there's that one scene where Paul just goes like, "Well, I did a bunch of drugs and now I am the Messiah."
Right. Yeah.
You know that's coming, right? I didn't spoil
Right.
anything there,
No,
right?
no. I think
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Shit, I did kind of spoil it. It's been a few weeks. Anyways. So there's a lot of different types of white people though, right? So it's white
Sure.
people discover Islam. That was the context of that
Yes,
statement.
got it. Okay.
So
yes,
what
I'm
type
following.
of white people would be the least likely to have had the revelation that Muhammad did?
Oh. Quakers.
Oh shit. I wasn't prepared for a good answer. I had sarcastic answers. I think you're right with the Quakers. I would say, you know, I'll give you my real answer and then I'll tell you a couple
Yeah.
of ones that are less
Okay.
likely. I feel a little uncomfortable saying this, but aside from the Quakers, I feel like it would have to have been the Germans. Out of all the Europeans, I feel like it's pretty
Yeah.
likely to have been the Germans
Yeah.
and Norwegians, maybe, you know?
The compatibility there would be.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nietzsche and it doesn't quite.
Do you want to? I will say this: it can't be the Irish, right?
Why?
Because of the no drinking. I don't think.
Oh, right.
And it certainly isn't going to be the British because there's spice and warm temperatures involved.
Right. Yeah, definitely wouldn't be them.
All right, that's it. I got no more jokes.
All right. That was
Yeah.
fun, man.
That was fun.
That
man.
was a
That was
good
another
show.
week of news.
Hell yeah. We did 3 shows this week, people.
Yeah, it felt great. Felt great.
Feeling good.
All
All
right,
right.
I will talk to you on Tuesday.
Sounds good. Cheers.
All right, drive safe. Bye, guys.